Welcome back, everybody. It's now my pleasure to introduce someone that many of you already know and love, Wells newsletter columnist, Jancee Dunn. Every week, Jancee's writing and reporting guide our newsletter readers through the latest ideas in health and wellness. She's also the creative force behind our popular Well Challenges, which help readers build healthier habits in ways that feel doable and fun. Today, Jancee will bring her deep expertise on the topic of relationships to a conversation with the renowned couples therapist, Terry Real. Welcome, Jancee and Terry.
Okay. Welcome, Terry Real. Terry, right? Terry is a couples and family therapist and founder of the Relational Life Institute. He's the author of 4 books, most recently the New York Times bestseller, Us, Getting Past You and Me to Build a More Loving Relationship. Over the years, he has saved thousands of relationships, including my own. I did a relationship intensive with him that put my marriage back on track. All right, so Terry, let's begin with the state of our unions, which seems to be in a kind of flux right now, right? It seems like people are reimagining what a partnership or a relationship can be. And what do you see behind that reimagining?
Well, hi everybody. Nice to be here with you all. So here's the deal. We've never wanted more from our relationships than we do right now. You know, our grandparents, a companionable marriage, nobody drank, nobody cheated, nobody beat anybody, good enough.
Right.
But nowadays, we want real intimacy. We want heart-to-heart, walks on the beach, great sex in our 70s. We want to be lifelong lovers. This is historically new. You know, marriage wasn't built for passion. Go to Western literature. How many passionate marriages do you see in the whole of Western literature? It's all adultery. So it's new. No, it is. It's new. But we don't live in a relationship-cherishing culture. And we don't teach our sons and daughters the skills they need to pull off this new ambition. We have like filet mignon longing and hamburger skills.
Yes.
I want relationship skills taught in elementary school, junior, high, and college. Teach our kids the basics, how to get what you want, how to fight, how to repair. Our kids don't know anything about any of this stuff, and we grow up, we do our best, but we don't do very well. Right. And the other thing, if I may, historically, the roles of women have dramatically changed. You know, someone once described my work as women have had a revolution and men have to deal with it. Mm-hmm. And I gotta tell you, you look around, not just this country, but all over the world, the biggest response is a pushback, conservative. If women would just, you know, I gotta tell you, I've been a couples therapist 40 years. Mm-hmm. That toothpaste is not going back in the tube. Mm-hmm. So rather than stand women down from these demands, I want men to stand up and learn a few basic relationship skills and meet these new demands. It's good for you, it's good for your body, it's good for your kids, and it's good for your marriage. Don't go back to the 50s. Let's move forward and learn how to be a newer, better, more open-hearted guy.
All right, we're going to get to the skills. Oh,
I'll take
yeah,
that.
they like that. They like that. But first, I wanted to ask you some of the mistakes that couples make over and over again in relationships that you've seen. You call them losing strategies. Can we talk about some of these losing strategies and what you should do instead?
How dare you ask me that question? That's so stupid. That's one of the losing strategies. Listen, there are 5 losing strategies. Being right. How many of you have tried to solve your problems by determining which one of you is right and which one of you is wrong? Let me see hands. This is the way it really happened. Yeah. I call this applying the scientific method to your. Good luck with that. Mm-hmm. Let me fade back. In the work I do, relational life therapy, we offer a new map and tools to make it work. And here's the new map. This isn't about right and wrong. This isn't about win-lose. This isn't about 2 individuals. The essence of my work starts with correcting the mistake that you stand apart from nature and in control of it. For men, it's dominance. For women, it's controlling up, codependence, regulating up. No. I ask people to wake up to what I call ecological wisdom. You're not above it, you're in it. It's in our interest to make our relationships are our biospheres. It's in my interest to make my biosphere work. Win, lose, right, wrong, doesn't matter. What is my ecosystem? Can I give you a quick example?
Yes, but I wanted to ask you, you say, who's right, who's wrong, who cares?
That's exactly
That's one of your sayings that
That's right.
taken to heart.
That's
okay,
right.
yes, example, please.
Well, that's it. Straight hetero, and a true story. She to him, you're New Yorkers. How many of you know this one? She to him, you're a reckless driver. Him to her, no, you're overly nervous. Any of you know that one? Let me see hands. Yeah. They argue their case. No, you do this, you do that. No, you overreact. It goes on for 40 years. Mm-hmm. This is true. One session with me. Mm-hmm. She to him, honey, let's start with that. Change the energy. Honey, I know you love me. I don't know. Maybe I'm overly, it takes it right off the tip. I don't know. But when you weave in and out and you speed up, when you're drive the way you want, but with me in the car, I'm petrified. Mm-hmm. As a favor to me, could you please slow down so I'm less scared? Him to her. Ready? Okay. And he does. And what might have been a fight that lasted 40 years is over in 10 minutes, because it's not about 2 individuals, it's about a team. It's not about I'm right, you're wrong. It's subjective. It's not do it or complaining. It's a request. And it works. That's moving out of the losing strategy of being right. The other losing strategies are control.
Right.
I will be happy if only you would. Mm-hmm. And one of my personal favorites, unbridled self-expression, ventilating.
Right.
I call this the barf bag approach to therapy. We'll be closer if I let you know every detail of how miserable I am. Here, hold that. I feel better. Retaliation, I'm going to hurt you the way you hurt me. Mm-hmm. And withdrawal, which is not taking distance. It's just, I'm out of here. Any of those 5 losing strategies will never get you what you want. There are better ways to do it.
We will get into those. But first, I did want to ask you, in an interview that you did with Well, you talked about normal marital hatred.
Yes.
Let's talk some more about that. Can you explain what that is?
Yeah, this is one
Although
of my,
there was a laugh that
this is one of my
laugh
hit
of
records.
recognition.
Normal marital hatred. First of all, I got to tell you, I've gone around the world for 30 years talking about normal marital hatred. Not once has someone come backstage and said, "What do you mean by that?" Here's the deal. It's okay. I got this from infant observational research. All relationships are harmony, disharmony, repair, like walking, balance, and all the skills are about getting from disrepair into repair. We'll talk about that. Our culture doesn't even acknowledge that that exists. A great relationship is all harmony. You know, that bullshit. And what I want to say about that dark space of disharmony is, it's dark. It hurts. It's scary. You went through it, if I may. I went through it.
Yes.
You know, James Framo, the father of couples therapy, said, the day you look at your partner in bed, back then it was your spouse, and you say to yourself, this is a dreadful mistake. This is not the person I married. That's the first day of your real marriage. You know, we long for the divine. We all want gods or goddesses that are going to complete us and heal us. The reality is we're stuck with a person just as imperfect as guess who you are. And it's how we deal with that collision. That's the character. That's the guts of what real. I wouldn't want a relationship that's all harmony. I'd be bored to death.
Right.
It's how you manage each other's imperfection. And they stick in the crawl. This is not abstract.
You said there's 3 steps to getting what you want in a relationship. Let's talk about them. What are they? Why do they work?
Let's talk about them. 1, the first step is leaning in and taking your partner on. I call this daring to rock the boat. And, you know, a lot of people are afraid to do that. But do it. But do it skillfully and with love. I'll go back to that. Once your partner's listening, okay, all right, drop the aggression. Everybody gets that wrong. They go on, they sell past the sale. Let me tell you how miserable you know, here's the thing. In our anti-relational culture, the way most of us try and get more of what we want is we're spontaneous, you know, and then when they fail, we criticize them for doing it wrong. That's how we try. That's the stupidest behavioral modification program I've ever heard of. Teach them. So first, lean in. This is really important. You got to listen. When they're listening, teach them. Particularly in heterosexual women to men. I believe women know more about relationships than men do. Okay, guess what? You're going to have to teach them then. It's like, listen to yourself. It's like, I believe I know more about relationships than the guy I'm with. I don't know why I have to work so hard because of what you just said. That's why. Is it fair? No. Will it get you what you want? Yes.
Okay.
So this is what I would like. And then 3 is, once they start to try, reward them, don't disreward them. You know, I talk to people about celebrating the glass 15% full.
15.
Yes.
Okay.
We do this with our kid. Your kid comes home with a D. You talk. They come back with a C. You don't slam them. You go, good work. What do we need to do to keep going? Do the same thing with your partner.
Okay. So when it comes to arguments, what's the most common mistake that couples make that you've seen over the years?
They don't ask for what they want.
Yes.
It's all about complaint. You know, the classic couples therapy couple is the more, we talk about the more, the vicious cycle. The more she pursues, the more he distances, the more he distances. Okay, guess what? She's not pursuing. She's complaining. I'm so hurt and angry that you're so distant. Yeah, well, guess what? Complaining about your partner is not going to evoke a generous. Here's what I say. You didn't do it, but if you did, I would say, Jancee, complaining about how distant your husband is, are you ready? Not seductive. You are not going to win this man's heart by kvetching about what he's doing wrong. You know, the thing is, complaint is not vulnerable. Request is vulnerable. And also, I teach people to work like a team. It's not me versus you. You love me, I love you. I could use more of this. Can you work on that? And then listen to who sounds like this. What could I do to help you do that for me? We're a team. That has to be taught. No one in our culture knows how to do that.
You didn't mention, in our session, that wasn't one of the things that you called me out on, but you did call me out on my tone, because you say that there's no redeeming value in harshness in a relationship.
In anything.
Yeah, and that there's nothing that harshness can do that loving firmness can't do better. So can you define harshness, which is what I did in the session. I said, well, what does harshness mean? Can I yell sometimes? And you said no. I wasn't, sarcasm, no, just anything that was harsh. And you made us do something called full respect living, which is one of the tenets that you teach,
yes.
where nothing you do in your interaction should drop below the level of simple respect. Very hard to do. Very hard to do.
Yeah. Look, healthy self-esteem, which no one in our culture knows, is feeling proportionately bad about bad behavior or angry about bad behavior, and holding yourself or your partner in warm regard, even while you have your feelings about their bad behavior. So it's, and if I may, I talk a lot about patriarchy, which hurts everybody, men and women. Under patriarchy, you can either be connected, accommodating, quote unquote feminine, or you can be powerful, strong, assertive, quote unquote masculine, but you can't be both at the same time. So when you move into power, it's power over, not with, and you lose your heart. You lose connection. You said about skills. Here's one of the basic skills. Standing up for yourself with love. Cherishing your partner and being assertive in the same breath. And that goes beyond our culture. That's brand new. So for example, the difference between saying, Jancee, I don't like how you're talking to me right now. I'm not being disrespectful, stop it. Which is fair enough, versus saying, sweetheart, I want to hear what you have to say. I can't hear it the way you. Could you tone it down so I can actually hear it? Two ways of saying the same thing, but one empowers me and you at the same time. And that has to be learned. You didn't learn that at home.
Let's talk about after you've had a fight. What are the nuts and bolts of making up after you've had a conflict?
Basically, one of you has to say, can we drop the bullshit and remember who we are? But before that, I want to talk about repair. Harmony, disharmony, repair. And this is really important for you guys. Repair is a one-way street. Everybody gets this wrong, including therapy. This is not a dialogue. This is not well, you're mad at me, I'm mad at you. That's not going to get you anywhere. If you have a disgruntled partner, they're it. You can have your issues later that night, tomorrow. In that moment, you want to bring your partner back into repair with you. That's your job. So I'm sorry, Jancee, tell me what you need. When somebody's unhappy with us, we have two orientations. The first is accuracy. I didn't do that. Well, you're overreacting. Yeah, how far does that get you? The second is me. I used to say to Belinda, I just was on the road telling people how to love each other for a whole week. I come home to this bullshit. Who needs it? No. Let go of you, let go of accuracy, and be generous. This takes skill. Ready? Take a breath and enter into your partner's subjective experience with some compassion and curiosity. What they're saying is nuts. You don't have to agree with it, but what kind of nut are you being right now? Let me understand. And you say, Jancee, that sounds terrible. That doesn't sound like much fun. Tell me what you're feeling. Tell me what I did. And then you get to say, is there, everybody, right? Is there something I could say or do right now that would help you feel better? Put yourself aside. Check your ego at the door. Bring them back into harmony with you, and then maybe you can talk about yourself. But if they're unhappy with you and you start making excuses, tit for tat, here's what I say. Ready?
Yeah.
When your partner is in a state of disrepair with you, feature yourself at the customer service window. Somebody comes to the customer service window and says, my microwave doesn't work. They don't want to hear from you, well, my toaster doesn't work. Fix their goddamn microwave. Then they might be able to listen to you. But deal with them first. It's a one-way street.
All right, what about advice that you most frequently give when it comes to improving your sex life? Is there something that you overwhelmingly tell that you talk to?
Yeah. I have a one line for this. Ready? You want to keep your sex life alive? Tell the truth. Can I say that again?
Boom.
You want to keep your sex life alive? Be alive in your relationship. Take each other on. Deal with each other.
Even if the truth is
well, you got to
hurtful?
do it skillfully.
All right.
But listen, couples stop dealing with each other. We say that we're compromising, but really we're settling. Resentment builds up. Generosity dies. Passion, I don't want to have sex with you. I'm mad at you. That's the cost of lean in and deal with each other. That's what keeps passion alive. But I also have empathy. The reason why we stop doing that is because when we do, it doesn't go very well. So learn some basic skills about how to do that well. If I may, I have tons of online courses for you, the general public, how to speak up, how to self-esteem, basic relationship skills, boundaries. Go and take some of my courses, learn a few things about how to do it more skillfully. If even that doesn't work, drag your partner to a therapist. And I am, forgive me, going to recommend a relational life therapist because we will take your side and not throw you under the bus.
Hey, that was wild. You do take sides.
I do.
Yeah.
I did it with you and your husband. Remember, his name is?
Tom.
Tom, right. Tom, she's right, you're wrong. Remember?
It was intoxicating. It really was.
Look, I specialize in couples on the brink of divorce and no one's been able to help. People drag in miserable partners. So far, the record's been 8 therapists. No one takes on the difficult partner. We're taught not to. We're taught everything's 50-50 and be nice. Bullshit. This isn't 50-50. And very specifically, most heterosexual women are asking for more intimacy from men than we raise boys and men to deliver. What you're asking for is legit. This is not 50-50. I want men to learn how to stand up and be more intimate. Women can ask more skillfully with less harshness and complaint. So I'm not saying you're all angels, but I back you up. What we know from research is that intimate connection is what the human species is designed for, and it's pounded out of our boys. Patriarchy hurts both men and women. The essence of being a man, and it's still with us today, is invulnerability. The more invulnerable you are, the more manly you are, the more vulnerable you are, the more girly you are. Guess what? What I say to guys all the time, what you learned as a boy will guarantee that by today's standards, you'll be a lousy husband. Open your heart. Dare to be vulnerable. Dare to be compassionate when your partner has a complaint about you. But that means, leading men, women, non-binary folks into intimacy is synonymous with leading them beyond patriarchy. And for a man to be vulnerable and compassionate to another person's vulnerability is reconfiguring masculinity itself. You're a hero, guys. You're a pioneer. Do it.
All right, shall we take a question from the audience, a question or two? If you have a question, let us know. And if you can keep it brief, I know relationships are involved, but if you have a brief question, you can ask Terry yourself. Anybody? Yes? How about you?
If you would, say your first name.
Hi, I'm Brooke.
Brooke.
A question for you. You've spoken a little bit about how women tend to be more relationally aware, perhaps, than their partners, and that, then that sometimes goes hand in hand with perhaps a complaint saying, well, my partner isn't stepping up to the plate. He's not really aware of how to treat me or how to show up in this relationship. But I wanted to know, how much do you think women, particularly in heterosexual relationships, are responsible for their partner's growth in that way, and how much are they responsible for learning and growing themselves based on their own self-interest and their own investment in the relationship?
Yeah, how much are women responsible for the growth of their partners in a relationship? And
Have you been talking to Belinda? You're not responsible for your partner. There's some therapies. I hate that. Mm-hmm. You're not their mother. You're not their therapist. You're not their coach. You are responsible for your end of the seesaw, and you do have the right. You need to take care of your biosphere too. We have 8 million. One is we want the mighty to melt. We want the weak to stand up. Mm-hmm. So responsible to your biosphere means I'm not getting what I want here. I want more of this. You're responsible for that. But then listen to this. What could I give you to help you deliver that for me? Mm-hmm. That is working like a team. So you're not responsible for them. You are responsible for the biosphere.
You've mentioned standing up for what you want. It can feel vulnerable to ask for what you want, can it?
I know.
That's the thing. It can feel kind of good to feel resentful and to stay in that resentment.
I know. Well, the thing is that resentment is one-up grandiosity. Psychotherapy is, for 50 years, helped people come up from the one down of shame. But I work a lot with helping people come down from entitlement, contempt, anger, rage. You don't say, I would like more of this. You say, what kind of a schmuck acts like that? Okay, that's not going to invite more work from your partner. So you're responsible for how you handle yourself. And in this culture, that means learning how to do it. Once you do it, we all live the serenity prayer. What they do with what you do is up to them. But this becomes the crucible in which you get to practice your skills. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. If it really doesn't work, get help. But if you act with skill, assertion and love at the same time, you'll get a lot more than what you're getting now.
So you've mentioned Belinda, your wife, who is also a therapist.
Yes.
So do you have conflicts still very often? Do you move through them quickly? Do you say, oh, I know that trick that you're doing? Or how does that work when you get in a fight?
Well, basically, I just do whatever she wants, and I try it. And what's odd is she would not agree with that sentence. So there you go. Just how sick she is. But no, we do. Look, we have bad days. Mm-hmm. I hate it when people say, don't ever go to bed mad. We go to bed mad. Yeah. And then we wake up the next morning, and we're back in our, we're compos mentis, and we make up. But we move through it very quickly these days. We take a break.
Okay.
And then one or the other comes back and says, you really want to do this? I don't want to do this. What do you need? Well, you really were an asshole. I know I was. But what do you need? Well, can you say you're sorry? Yeah, okay. Good, done. Let's have tea. And it really boils down to, how do I want to spend my time? Do I want to spend my evening fighting with this mad woman, or do I want to make...
madman.
As a madman. Or do I want to make peace and get over it? We call this remembering love. And it's literally a different part of the brain. It's the wise adult, we call it. When we get triggered, we lose our brains, and fight, flight, fix, freeze, automatic.
Right.
Take a breath, take a break, take a walk around the block. Get out of that automatic knee-jerk response. Get into the thoughtful response. Okay, honey, what do you need?
Well, our time is up. Thank you for an enlightening, entertaining, empowering conversation. Thank you, Terry.
It's a joy. Thank you all.